G'day Jaffa Adventurers, Terry King here, welcome to the channel. And I'm absolutely humbled by the fact that you've stopped by to spend a little bit of time with me here today. Thank you. I'd like to spend a few minutes with you today discussing a subject that can sometimes really get up my nose, and for us as users of four-wheel drive equipment can be outright dangerous.
Warning!
YouTube is littered with all kinds of product reviews. Now I'm going to specifically discuss four-wheel drive and camping product reviews because that's the focus of my channel, and that's a topic that I'm very familiar with. Reviews are an excellent way for individuals like me and you to get a feel for a product without actually having to fork out our cold hard cash. It can really de-risk a purchase decision significantly, and that is a fantastic thing. However, these reviews are not without their pitfalls, both for the person who's doing the review and the individual like you or I who are actually watching the review. These dangers are what I want to spend some time talking about in the video today. This is a friendly warning to all content creators and content consumers alike. Let me kick off by defining what I consider a kickback or a sponsorship, because that's a major theme in this discussion. Let me make this very clear. I believe you're sponsored if you're a supplier and you're spruiking your own product, if you've been given a product for free or at a discount, or three, if you're paid a fee or you receive any other sort of endorsement. And that can be something as small as a couple of stickers. It might be a, hey, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours, that sort of a thing. And it's important to understand because sponsorships, read kickbacks, influence behavior. Make no mistake about that. Now, some would argue the point, especially some content creators actually doing the reviews, but I call BS on this. Rarely have I seen sponsored product reviews that actually bag a product. Now, back in the days of the print magazines like Four Wheel Drive Monthly or Australian 4x4, that was one of my biggest gripes. How can all these reviews have nothing but good things to say? Surely there must be some crap out there. Sponsorship, of course, was the answer to that question. So why is there a tendency towards positive product reviews, and why should you even care? Let's start by tackling the first part of that question. Why the tendency towards positive reviews? And bear in mind, of course, this is my only opinion. For the most part, a product that's being reviewed by someone is either owned by the reviewer or it's been in their possession for a reasonable period of time. If someone reviewing a product has only had that in their possession for a matter of days, run for the hills. Those reviews typically go something like this. I just bought this new tire and wanted to share my thoughts on it. Put it this way, can you make a fair assessment of something you've had in your possession for only a very short period of time? If the answer to that is no, you can't, well then how can someone else? So take those reviews with that in mind and you'll be in a pretty good position. So let's assume that a reviewer's used a product long enough to give a genuine review. Why is there a bias towards the positive? Firstly, I believe it's human nature to bias our feedback in the positive. Our egos kick in. You don't want to appear like you've made the wrong decision. You don't want to appear weak. It's all about protecting the ego. This is especially true when you don't know the people or the audience that you're talking to, and can tend to be true with younger content creators as well. Use yourself as an example. In a group of friends, would you be more inclined to say a product is crap if it's crap? In fact, you might even joke about it. Why? First, it's a safe environment, you're among friends. Second, you don't want them to fall into the same trap that you did because you actually care about them. Why else would a content creator tend to review or have a bias towards the positive? As reviewers, you're not often challenged. You're hiding behind a screen. If you're not challenged, you might feel as though you don't need to be quite completely squeaky clean honest. There might be something that's a minor pain in the butt in the product, but you don't actually mention it because there's no repercussions that'll come back on you as the reviewer. Yeah, the reviewer can get some comments challenging them or challenging the review, but for the most part, people can't be bothered. And if you do get roasted, you've always got the option of blocking the comments or pulling the review piece down altogether. So why else would you be inclined to bias a review into the positive? Your channel's a big channel. You're doing this for a living or you want to do it for a living. If the supplier out there gets to know that you've got a reputation for roasting poorly designed products, they might not want a chance engaging you for a review. That means less revenue for you and less that you can reinvest back into your business. Why else would you be inclined to bias a review into the positive? Here's the biggie, it's sponsorship. Many sponsored reviewers will swear black and blue that the review is fair, it's reasonable, and most importantly, honest and unbiased. There's no way that a product reviewer can take the moral high ground of being unbiased when they're on the take, whatever form that might look like. Here's a personal example as a content creator, the pressure that suppliers can bring to bear on a review. Remember too that my channel's a minnow compared to some of the larger channels out there. I did a product review on my Bungee Chop rooftop tent and awning. I kept the review unbiased. Go check it out for yourself, you can see that. On this occasion, I had the product supplier reach out to me and say, hey, great product review, but you were a little harsh on this particular point. I think it was around the ladder, something to do with the ladder. Anyway, if you edit that out of your review, we'd be happy to post your video up on our channel and promote you. Now, I paid full retail for the tent and awning, and you can see how easily it would have been to fall down that rabbit hole. Can you imagine if the supplier provided me that tent for free or discounted? How much more obliged would I be to comply with their wishes, and how easy would it have been to do it? After all, it's just a little bit of editing in the video. There'd be a lot of pressure is the short answer. So to finish the story, I didn't edit the harsh bit out. The supplier didn't post up my video on their site either. So no harm, no foul. And you know what? Product reviewers know that sponsored reviews are biased. How can you tell? They often hide the fact that they're sponsored by not even mentioning it in the review itself. Why hide it? Because they know that public opinion is that sponsored reviews are biased. And they also know themselves that they're influenced by that sponsorship. And they equate being influenced by sponsorship as selling out. And so might you, of course. So rather than trying to defend an indefensible position, it's easier to simply forget to tell you that they're being sponsored. Some will disclose the fact that they're sponsored in the description section of the video on YouTube. They know that very few people read that description section, and if they are challenged, they can always fall back on the fact that, hey, I told you I was sponsored, it was in the description section. Again, knowing full well that not a lot of people will read that. Why hide the fact that you're sponsored? Again, you guys know the answer to that question. Here's a classic exchange that I saw in the comments section on a product review I watched from a content creator that has about 40,000 plus subscribers, so a decent sized channel. And in it, the content creator disclosed they were sponsored in the written description of the video. They didn't actually say it on the video. The content creator asked at the end of the video, hey, what other product reviews would you like to see? And in the comments section, this is what transcribed. Viewer, not doing yourself any favors with this horse shit. Credibility is everything, and after selling that out, it's hard to get that back. What product should you review next? Whatever you want for free, I suppose. Note how the integrity of the creator was challenged, not actually the review itself. The creator responded, I've run this product over a year now and I've not said a word about it. I don't post for the highest bidder. It took me 4 years to build up the sponsors that I wanted. Now look how the content creator has been forced into defending their credibility, and they try to justify why the review is unbiased. The viewer responded, my error. Congrats on being the first to manage a completely no obligation, unbiased review on a product supplied and fitted for free. Certainly sounds legit. I'll stand corrected. Your credibility is intact. Well done. Now that's a classic situation where the creator's integrity has been rightly challenged and they're on the back foot immediately trying to defend it. And unsuccessfully, in my opinion. In the same video, I asked a simple question of the creator. Can you help me understand how you can provide an unbiased review of a product that you've been supplied and fitted for free? The content creator replied they tried to explain that they only use and review products that they've selected over years of trial and error and blah, 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 blah. They were on the back foot defending their integrity. There was a subsequent flurry of comments by other viewers calling BS on the creator, and the content creator eventually deleted the comment altogether. Now that's the difficult position you put yourself in as a content creator, defending your integrity and being forced to do unscrupulous things like deleting comments that you can't deal with. Now how's that honest? Here's my advice to all the content creators out there and the would-be reviewers. If you're sponsored, make that blindingly clear. Don't hide it, don't shy away from it, Expect to be challenged that you're biased. When you're challenged, don't take the moral high ground. You'll be called out and you'll absolutely lose that battle every single time. Simply respond by saying, I made it clear I was sponsored. You can make up your own mind if the review was useful or not, and if the product's right for you. That way you take the focus off your integrity, which cannot be challenged because you were completely transparent, and you put the focus back onto the review itself. Again, if you try and hide the fact you're sponsored, you must defend your integrity, and that's not a position that you want to put yourself in. Alternatively, of course, just don't do product reviews on products where you're sponsored. For the content consumer, those of us who are watching the review, the danger of a sponsored review is a biased opinion. So find out if the reviewer is sponsored. If they don't come out and say, I'm not sponsored, assume that they are, and just look at their review through that lens. Think of sponsored reviews that are biased towards the positive like this. How many products have you owned that have been absolutely perfect? No defects, 100% happy with them, you wouldn't change a thing. I bet you could count the number of those products on one hand. That being the case, why don't many of the Facebook or YouTube reviews reflect what your own experience is telling you? The answer, of course, is sponsorship. Now, don't get me wrong, reviews from sponsored creators aren't a bad thing. They just need to be viewed through the sponsorship lens so that you take what the reviewer has to say with your eyes wide open. So let's get back to YouTube reviews. I tend to group them into 3 broad categories, and I'll deal with each one individually. First, there's the overtly sponsored product review performed by a supplier or the manufacturer. Second, there's the overtly sponsored product review that's concealed in another guise. This review is a little bit sneaky. Third, there's the covertly sponsored review. These are the most insidious, the most deceitful, and the ones that really tend to get up my nose. And fourth are the unsponsored product reviews. Let's look at group 1, the overtly sponsored review performed by a supplier. And I'll use Drift Camping Equipment as an example because they often do lots of YouTube reviews on their own products. They're the manufacturers, they're the suppliers of the gear. The reason they shot their video is ultimately to get you to buy their product. There's nothing wrong with this. You know the exact reason why they're doing what they're doing, and you can form your own opinion based on that. It's a great way for us as consumers to educate ourselves as to the options available to us and basically to try before we buy. We know there's a vested interest in the review, so we take the review for what it's worth. Now, group 2, the overtly sponsored product review in another guise, used to really annoy me. I'll use 4-wheel drive action or 4x4 24/7, I think, as they call themselves now, as my example, but there's many others out there. I used to get really annoyed with channels like this. They suck you in with very enticing content, you know, amazing trips and great footage, for example, and then they pepper the video with how great this camper is or how fantastic this fridge is at keeping your beers cold, that sort of stuff. The reason I got annoyed because I didn't tune in to hear a sponsorship biased review. If I wanted that, I would have searched out for those particular products directly. I tuned in for the trip. Having been exposed to hours of this sort of type of sponsorship, both in print and in video, I've learned to temper this annoyance through a little bit of understanding. I'm getting the content for free, and in a lot of cases there's some fantastic content. Great camping spots, professional cinematography, and often with location details so that I can get there myself one day. Very entertaining. As a channel grows and evolves from part-time gigs to doing this stuff for a living, they have to fund it. And they do that in part through sponsorships. I get that, I expect it, and now I'm resigned to the fact that that's the way the world turns. Of course, YouTube does have the skip forward 15 seconds button, and I can give my finger some exercise whenever I hit the sponsored content section of the video. So there's that as an escape route. The third group is the most insidious, the most dangerous, and for me, the most annoying. These are the reviews that are actually sponsored, but the content creator either conceals that fact altogether or they make it very difficult for you to know if they're sponsored or not. I call these reviews dangerous for both the reviewer who cut the video and for the numpty on the other end consuming the content. They're dangerous for the creator because you're playing with your credibility. They're dangerous for the consumer because you're getting a biased opinion when you actually think that it's unbiased. The fourth group, the unsponsored reviews, they're the most trustworthy in my opinion. The content creator will have a tendency to be the least biased because there's no vested interest either way. So that should lead you and me, the viewer, to ask this simple question when watching a review. Why are they doing the review? If they're sponsored, the answer to that's obvious. If they're not sponsored, it's less so. It could be that they want to share their excitement or their disappointment with a product. They might want to gain credibility through honest reviews. They might genuinely want to help another viewer. Anyway, what's the bottom line? We live in amazing times. You can find reviews for almost anything these days, and it can genuinely help you inform your purchase decision. That's a fantastic thing. But they're traps. If you're aware of them, watch the review knowing this and take that content for what it's worth. Bottom line, folks, knowledge is power, both in knowing the product and in also knowing the basis for the review itself. So that's my rant, everybody. I hope you've got some real value out of this. I certainly feel better because I've got something off of my chest, so that's been a fantastic sort of cathartic exercise for me. Hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends. We've got some pretty amazing content coming up. Very shortly, Jill and I are going to be hitting the road, and we're off for 3 weeks into western New South Wales, into the deserts of New South Wales. That's going to be a fantastic trip, and of course we'll be recording that along the way. So please hit that subscribe button, share it with your friends, keep the shiny side up, everybody. Have an amazing week. We'll see you next time. Bye now.